Right now, we're going to introduce Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is all about the law of agency. So what's the law of agency? Aren't we going to be an agent for somebody? Aren't we going to represent somebody? Right? If you're familiar with sports or even television actors and actresses, they all have agents, people representing them, so that they don't have to get into all of the minutia of how these deals work. So we have to learn how we do it, right? What do we owe our clients? And how do we get hired? How do we get hired? I mean, that's one of the interesting things too. You can't just walk in there and say, hey, guess what? I need representation. Everybody can do that, but you have to be committed and you have to be hired. So now, the other thing we have to talk about is who hires us? Who do we work for, really? Right? So when you think about it, we get hired by a company, a broker in charge, right? So he hires us to do what? To act as him or her in relationships with their clients. Now, when the buyer or seller come into the office and say, I want to buy a house or I want to sell my house, you got to remember that even if you walk them in, they don't hire you. They do not hire you. I don't care if it's your brother-in-law, sister-in-law, whatever, they hire your company. And you are a representative of the company. Okay, so that's the key here. You are a representative of the company, and the company is the one that gets hired, be it by the buyer or by the seller. You are an agent of the broker in charge, the company. All right. So we're going to see this in a couple of different ways, but by means of explanation here. So by means of explanation, let me show you this. We have a broker in charge, and we're going to call him the BIC from now on, right? We have an agent, which is us, and then we have a buyer or a seller client. That is someone who hires us. Okay. So we need to talk about principals. At this point, we need to talk about principals. And the principal is the person who is doing the hiring. And we'll see all this on PowerPoint, but this kind of gets everything set. Okay. So if I work for a broker in charge, he is my principal because he hired me. Okay. And I am the agent. Okay. That's how that works. I'm the agent to my principal. Now, if the client, let's say it's a buyer client, comes in, the buyer client comes in and says, all right, I want to sell this house. Well, they hire my broker in charge. So that means my broker in charge is now the agent because they were hired by a principal. The person who does the hiring is the principal. So where does that leave us? Well, we're an agent for an agent, right? Now we're an agent for an agent. So that makes us a sub-agent, right? That makes us a sub-agent. So we have what's a dotted line responsibility to the principal because we have a solid line responsibility to the agent, right? We're hired by a principal. We have to do what? What our principal tells us to do, right? As long as it's lawful, we have to obey, all right? So if we are the agent of an agent, that means that we have to take care of this client here. Okay, we have to take care of that client, even though that client hired our agency, not me, specifically. And that's how the law works. Now, let's add something to this. Let's add a little bit of something to this. All right. So Kimberly works for brand X. All right. She works for XYZ company. And she is the broker in charge of XYZ company. And she has, and Kayla is the agent, and they have a seller client. Okay, they have a seller client. My buyer wants to go and buy this house. Okay. Do I here have any relationship with this group? I don't have any relationship. They're customers, right? They're customers. They're not clients. My client, who do I owe my loyalty to? I owe my loyalty to that person. I don't owe them anything other than honesty, fairness, material facts, right? I mean, that seems fair, but those are the three things you owe: honesty, fairness, material facts. That's what all I would owe to Shelby and Kayla and their client. That's it. So I have to be honest, right? So that's all I need to do. I don't have to give them everything else. Okay, I owe my loyalty to my principal. So in this particular case, this would be a client. This would, to me, would only be a customer relationship because I wasn't hired by them, right? They hired that other XYZ company. They hired the XYZ company. All right. All right. So that's just a roundabout way to get to where we're going. So just to give you an idea, and I wanted to throw that out there right away. It gets a little bit cumbersome, but it's not that hard. It's not that hard. All right. All right. So let's go to where we want to be. All right. So again, we have relationships with the broker. All right. The agent one, agent two, depends on who hires who, right? Depends on who hires who. Okay. We have what's called a fiduciary relationship. A fiduciary relationship is a position, a person who is in a position of trust and confidence. If I talk for an hour to Lily, she came in my office and I told her all about the real estate marketplace, and I told her everything, and how much this was and how much that was, and everything else. And Lily walks out the door and she starts talking to her friends about how good a job Sam did, and he told me this and he told me that and everything else. Can anything bad happen to that? No, I'd be happier for her to do it, right? So maybe some of her friends would come back. Now, in that conversation, I'm going to ask Lily for some stuff. I'm going to ask her for what she's looking for. How much is she qualified to pay? Where does she want to go? What does she want to have? So we're going to get into a conversation if we did this, all right? Now, if Lily walks away and I go blab to my friends, well, Lily can pay this, Lily's looking for this, everything else, would that be fair to Lily when she goes to negotiate? No, it wouldn't, right? So Lily can't hurt me by going out and telling her friends what our conversation was. But could I do damage to Lily and her position if I went out and blabbed to everybody? Right? I could. So that's why you are a fiduciary and you're in a position of trust and confidence. She's going to give me information. And once she hires me as a client, I'm going to have to be confidential with that. I can't be telling everybody that. Okay? She's giving me information. She has to trust me to be able to give me that. Could I find Lily a house if I didn't ask her how much she could spend? No, I couldn't, right? It would be very, very difficult to read her mind. Or where she wanted to live, or why she needed to move, or any of those things. It would be extremely difficult to do. So what I need to do is I have to have her trust me and say, oh, look, if you hire me, then I will be your fiduciary. Which means that you and I are going to be in a position of trust. All right. Everything you tell me will be held in confidence. And we'll talk about the 6 fiduciary responsibilities in a bit. Okay. So that's why we need to be a fiduciary, right? That's why we need to be a fiduciary. So as we've seen here, right, I'm hired by my principal, much like my drawing. So I am a fiduciary to my principal, but I also have a dotted relationship with anybody who hires my principal. If this is from XYZ company, this third party, I don't have any relationship with them. Honesty, right? Material facts, that's what I owe, right? I owe them honesty, material facts. So in that particular case, that's what I owe here. All right. So they do this a little bit differently, but this is really what happens. The client walks in there, they're the buyer and seller. Client walks in there, they're going to hire my broker in charge, my company, right? I work for my company, so I am the sub-agent here. So therefore, my broker in charge can't do it all. That's why he hired me, right? So he comes and says, all right, Sam, Lily just came in. Why don't you take care of what she needs? Find out about her houses, sell her what she wants, take her where she needs to go. Okay. We'll get Lily. We'll talk to Lily. Lily will sign a contract, right? We'll sign an agency agreement, no more than a contract, all right? And then I will represent the firm, and Lily will represent, obviously, she'll give me that information. Now, I have the ability to bind my firm. So if I get Lily to sign the agency agreement, I can sign that agreement. That means my firm is bound. Means that my firm is obligated, right? I signed it, even though she hired my firm. Can I sign for Lily? I may not. I may not bind my client. She's going to have to sign it. So anything I sign for her has no weight whatsoever. I do have the ability to bind my company, but I can't bind the client. Client has to bind herself. Okay? So that's how this works. That's general agency. So we've kind of gone through some of these, all right? Relationship that exists when one person is authorized to act on behalf of the other. Isn't that what Lily's hiring me for? Find her a house, right? Or better yet, sell her house. Sam, I need this thing sold and I don't know how to do it. Can you handle it? Yes, love to. Here, hire my company. What do you want for it? She says, I want $1 million. I say, all right, well, I think I can get you 400,000. So that's about right. Okay. She says, well, I'm going to negotiate. Well, all right. I think you should come down. All right. This is the price. Let me show you why. So it's my job to show her why. Everything in your neighborhood sold for 400,000. I think you can sell for the same amount. Let me show you. And we'll talk about doing comparative market analysis in a little while. So Lily says, all right, I guess so. I'm not going to get $1 million because I think my crown molding in my house is worth 600,000, right? Everybody's crown molding in their house is worth 600,000. Yes. No. People get crazy about crown molding. Not one of my favorite subjects. Crown molding costs about $10 a foot to put in. Please don't make it worth more than it is. All right. Half the houses I walk into, I never pay attention to have crown molding. Oh, ours is worth 50,000 more because we have crown molding. Who cares? Guess what you're going to do if you overprice your house? Lily, if I priced your house at $1 million and 5 of the houses in your neighborhood are priced at $425,000, what's going to happen when they come to your neighborhood? What are they going to do? Are they going to come see your $1 million house? Only for curiosity, because you know what they're going to do? They're going to go buy one of those less expensive ones because they don't have crown molding, right? And Lily does. And Lily overpriced her house. So the best thing Lily can do for her neighbors is to overprice her house, because the substitution method says, I don't need that, not for $50,000. I can do without that. If I want it later on, I can put it in for 10. Follow? Principle of substitution. So you got to get the prices right. But we got to know, Lily and I have to talk, because we got to know where her head's at. Now, Lily, I hope you don't mind, I'm using you as an example. But let's say Lily's got a $900,000 mortgage. and the houses are selling for, we'll get more realistic, $750. Has Lily got a problem? Yeah, Lily's got a problem. So what's the value of Lily's house at this particular point? If Lily got 100, unless Lily's got 150,000 plus in the bank, the value of her house is absolute zero. Because why? She can't sell it. She's too encumbered, right? Her mortgage is too big. She's going to have to work with the bank to either short sale it or foreclose it or do something else. But those are things that I'm going to have to ferret out. I'm also going to have to go look and see about something called a lis pendens. Lily's not happy because what happened was her mortgage company, she missed 3 payments. Sorry, Lily, I hate it for you. But the mortgage company now says that in 60 days, we're going to sell her property from her. We're going to foreclose on her mortgage. But Lily didn't tell me that. She forgot. Oh, yeah, Sam, yeah, you know what? I forgot about that. I'm going to do something before I list Lily's house. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this clerk of the court and I'm going to say, hey, can I look at the lis pendens, Lispendens? We'll talk about these more. What means that, has anybody ever filed a lawsuit? If you have, I don't need to get into the gory details of that. Does it ever, it never comes out tomorrow, right? You don't file today, it comes up tomorrow. It goes on a docket. You might be 2 months before you even get near the courthouse. Well, if we say, and Lily's been playing along, so we're going to stay with it. If we say Lily's house yesterday, she got the notice that says that she's going to get foreclosed on in 60 days. She called me up right away and she said, I'm going to sell this before they foreclose. And she tells me the price and everything else, but she forgets to tell me that they're going to foreclose. And the average home sale is 6 months. Lately, it's been a lot faster than that, but 4 to 6 months is normal. Will I get a chance to sell Lily's house? No way. I won't. And whose expenses is going to be? Lily's not paying. My marketing, my time, my expenses, my all of that. My preaching that Lily's got a great house. She got crown mold, right? So I don't either, believe me. So, but that's on me. You got to check those things out, right? Because not everybody gives you all the information and you need to know that. You're going to do your job here, right? So I want to protect Lily. I want to sell her house. I really do. But I also have to put a dose of realism in there. Because who's the adult in the room? According to the North Carolina Real Estate Commission and according to the North Carolina State Law of Real Estate, who's the adult in the room? Moi, right? Right. Who's going to be responsible if this thing goes sideways? Yeah, absolutely right. Right? They're not going to go to Lily. They're going to say, Sam, you should have checked it out. You have the obligation to check it out, make sure these things can happen. Right? So we have to be able to do all of these things. I am her agent. Yes. She hired us. Yes. I want to do a great job for her. Yes. But I have to come up and figure out all these, what do we need? Can we do this? Can we do this? What do we got? Now she has to trust me. Now she says that if on our first meeting, she says that, she says, hey, they're going to foreclose on me in 60 days. I'm sorry, but this is going to be a rush. I'm going to say, well, 450,000 is what they're getting. If you want to, how much do you owe? And she says, well, I owe 350. I said, do you want to try to sell it for 375? We can sell it relatively quickly at that point, right? We can work at it. She might have a chance to save her foreclosure, right? But we have to be honest with one another. If she says she can't do that, or she's not willing to do that, that's when I got to say, all right, look, I can't possibly sell this house in the time allowed because we can't get enough money for it. So we have to have a real come to Jesus meeting and say, yes, we can, or no, we can't, right? I want to sell everything. I want buyers, sellers. I want to sell everything, right? I'm all into it. That's how we make money. That's how we make our living. But last time I checked, gas was like nearly $40 a gallon, right? It goes up and down. It might be coming down a little bit, but it'll be back to $4 a gallon pretty soon. And if you want to drive people around to see houses, are they buyers? If you work on the beach, and I did a lot of my stuff on the beachfront, if you work on the beach, you'll never be busier than on a rainy day in the middle of the summer, right? Because why? Because people can't go to the beach, right? So what happens is they want to go see houses, and you happen to be in the office. So guess what? Sam, hey, we just came in. We're very, very interested in buying a house here. No, they're not. They're very, very interested in HGTV, and they want to see what kind of houses are available in their price range. They're never going to buy a house from you. That's why you have to pre-qualify them. So you have to ask a lot of questions, okay? In particular, the tough ones. You walked into my office. I want to, are you pre-qualified? What do you mean by pre-qualified? Well, how much can you spend? Oh, I don't know. I said, well, good. Let me get you to a banker and we can find out so we can start. Why would I be looking at $600,000 if you can only buy $350,000? Right? So these are the things that you are going to have to kind of work your way through with clients, right? With clients, people who have hired you, buyers in particular. Yeah, we want to see it. All right, let me get into the banker. Well, I don't really want to talk to a banker right now. Well, I'm not a tour guide, right? I'm not a tour guide. And this is not HGTV. And unless you can tell me how much, well, we're going to pay cash. Excellent. I love that cash deals will be much easier. Can you get me verification of funds? What do you mean? Can I see your bank statements? You can go print them off. You can redact I don't want to see your social security number. I'm not interested in your account numbers. I just want to see the money's in the bank. Because if you write a contract, that's what we're going to have to show. Oh, I got to transfer money. I got to do all that. All right, well, go do that and come back. Follow? Otherwise, you guys are going to be working for free. Free sucks. Some of it's free, but it gets expensive, right? Some of it's free, but it gets expensive. When do you think you get paid? Does anyone put in a chat box? When do you get paid? When do you get your money? When do you get your money? Absolutely correct. You get paid at closing, right? Closing. After they have what? After they have recorded the deed, you get paid. So, yep, absolutely right. So that's when you get money. So you're doing all of this stuff to do what? To get somebody to a closing table, right? Is that your ultimate goal? That's your ultimate goal, right? So you have to guide them. You have to make sure, but you got to ferret them out quickly, right? Because you're not an entertainment. You get paid after closing. After closing. After it's recorded, we're going to see it after it's recorded, after they have told the mortgage company that has been satisfied, the first mortgage, after they've recorded the second mortgage, and after they've recorded the new buyer. All of those things have to be done, and the title search has to be completed. Then you get paid. They can't disperse any funds until that happens, which is the second day, usually, unless it's that afternoon. The settlement date, you're going to come in, you're going to sign all the documents, they're going to push the money around, do everything else. The attorney's going to take it. Nobody gets paid until we close. That's what happens there. Okay. So nobody gets paid until you close. So is driving them around making you any money? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Now, it might be a good opportunity to visit neighborhoods and find out more about neighborhoods so you can market to those neighborhoods. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying pick your poison, right? All right, so let's look at these definitions. Agency means that I have a relationship. I have been hired, right? The relationship that exists when one person is authorized to act will be on behalf of another. Hasn't Lily given me authorization to act as her in negotiations and everything else? Yes, she has, right? She's given me that authorization. Principal is the person who does the hiring. Lily would be the principal. If she signed and hired me in writing, she would be the principal. My office would be my firm would be the agent. I would be the sub-agent. All right. And my agency would require us to act on behalf of the principal under that authority. All right. Okay. So the broker works for the firm works for the principal. Technically, I am a sub-agent, right? So I work for my broker who works for the agent. I have a listing. Everyone in my company works as a sub-agent for that seller, right? We all work for them. We talked about what a fiduciary is, trust relationship with our principal, all right? I showed you who the customer was, somebody who doesn't hire me. So maybe after our conversation, Lily decides not to hire me. She says, you won't do it for me. I'll go get Wayne. Wayne will do it for me. He'll do whatever I want him to do, right? I said, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming in. Maybe I can help you down in the future. And then she leaves. She walks away. We never signed anything, right? Now she's a customer. She goes, all right? Now she's a customer. She goes. And that's it. We're not under no obligation. So she's a customer. Or somebody, if I listed, I work for ABC company, and Wayne brings me a client from XYZ company, Wayne's client and Wayne would be a customer, not a client, okay? They would be customer, third party, outside. I have no obligation to them, only truth and honesty and material facts, right? All right. Now you may hear something called a facilitator or a transaction broker. A facilitator or a transactional broker. Neither one of these are allowed in North Carolina. A facilitator or a transactional broker. In South Carolina, we have something that's called transactional brokerage, transaction brokerage. And what this is that they don't have to hire me, but I can just work for the transaction. A mother wants to sell her, or mother wants to give her daughter a house. Basically, they say they don't know the paperwork. Sam, I'll give you, we know what we want to do. We know how much we're going to pay. We know all of that stuff. We just don't know the documents. We'll pay you $1,000 if you fill out all the documents for us and you get us to the attorney. They don't have to hire me. Neither one of them are my clients. I'm just filling out paperwork for them and I'm getting paid for it. Okay. That's transactional brokerage. You're not allowed that in North Carolina. Okay. So this is a non-agency relationship. All right. Where we assist the buyer and the seller in reaching an agreement without being hired by either one. Okay. Without being hired by either one. It is not allowed in North Carolina. In North Carolina, you have to be one of three things. If you want to represent a client, you have to be one of three things. And if you want to get paid, you have to be one of three things. You have to be a buyer's agent. You have to be a seller's agent or the listing agent. Or you have to be what's called a seller sub-agent. And we'll get into that seller sub-agent in a little while, probably Thursday night. But we'll get into that, all right? But you have to be one of these three things, all right? If you're not one of those three things, you cannot transact that deal. You are out, and your client becomes a customer, and they can deal with them by themselves. You have to be either hired by the buyer, hired by the seller, or be a seller sub-agent. That's it. Those are the only three things. There's no facilitator. There is no transaction broker. Doesn't work in North Carolina, neither one of them. Here's the bread and butter. These are our 6 fiduciary responsibilities to our client. Now, if you notice, it's all neat and it spells out old car. Probably as we go along, we're going to start calling them our old car responsibilities. But these are the 6 things that we have to do when we get hired. Obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accounting, and reasonable skill and care. Okay, 6. All right, so the first one, that's a neat old car, by the way. The first one is obedience. I said I had to do whatever she said, right? Whatever Lily said, if she hired me, I have to do, because I have to be obedient to my client as long as it is not unethical or against the law. Okay, she can't force me to break the law or be unethical. All right, So the broker's fiduciary duty to act in good faith at all times, obeying principal's instructions as long as they are not unlawful or unethical. So let's say I am taking a client out and we go to see a house and it's 2:30 in the afternoon. And I'd made an appointment for this house and we're going to see it. And we get to the front door. My client has to leave in an hour. He's really super interested in this house, but he wants to see it one more time. Go to the front door, open up the lockbox. There's no key in the lockbox. I call the agent and said, hey, I have an appointment. I leave her a message. I have an appointment. Somebody took the key out of the lockbox. I can't get in. In the meantime, my buyer goes around the back door and he calls me up back and he says, Sam, hey, come here. So I go back there and I can see the sliding glass door is open. But I try to pull on the screen and the screen is locked. Now I have an appointment and I said, we can't go in there. He said, yeah, take this screen off the door. We can get in there. That went from a show. If I do that, that goes from a showing appointment to a breaking and entering. And we're not going to do that, right? Because that would be what? That would be against the law. Now, if that screen door was open before I walked in that house, I would call back the agent again. And I would say, hey, the back door is open. We're going to go in and see the property. All right, unless you tell me no. It's probably not the best thing to do. It's not the best course of action. But if the door's open, the door's open, but the key's not in the lockbox. But I can't force my way in. I'm not allowed to do that. That's unlawful, and unethical. I'm not allowed to do either one of those. All right, so that's obedience. That's obedience. If they want to make an offer, a lousy offer, I still have to write the offer. Right? If they want to ask for ridiculous things in the offer, I still have to do it. If my seller gets a full price offer, maybe not exactly what he's looking for, and I tell him it's the best offer he's going to get, you don't have to take it. You don't have to take it, right? I still have to present it. I have to present all offers. All right. So that's obedience. That's number one. You have to do everything they tell you to do as long as it's not unlawful and not unethical. All right, number two. Loyalty. Loyalty. Broker must place principal's best interest over all others, including their own, including the broker's own best interest. All right. So we can't use knowledge of a seller's needs to relocate to make a low offer. If I found out that Lily was has to sell, she needs it, and I was using Wayne before, so I'll stick with Wayne. I know that, and she's my client. I call up Wayne and say, hey, look, my client is super in distress here. She's got to get out of here. I know that you got a client who might be interested. Do you think you can get us X amount of dollars and come in and make an offer? I'm sure that she's going to accept it. Would I be loyal to my client by doing that? No, right? I couldn't be loyal to her. So therefore, I can't do that. Okay, I can't do that. So that is loyalty. I have to be able to get the maximum dollar I can for that particular house through holding open houses, advertising in the marketplace, making sure it's priced correct, doing the whole thing. All right, but I couldn't go. And now, if I can call agents. I can certainly call agents and say, hey, I got a great house on the market. It's going to sell fast, but if you have any clients that are interested, this is where it is. This is the price point, and this is the feature it has. There's nothing wrong with that. I just can't tell them what she would accept if it was below. I can't give her terms and motivation. There's three things in confidentiality that we'll talk about: price, terms, and motivation. Yeah. All right, so that's loyalty. You can't do that. Disclosure. In the D in the old car. Obedience, loyalty, D, disclosure. I have to keep Lily informed of everything I know. Everything. So it says the broker must keep principal informed at all times of any facts or information that could affect the principal's decision in the transaction. Maybe she gets an offer. It's full price. It's cash. It's a 60-day close instead of a 30-day close. I got to weigh that, help her figure out all of the other offers or any offers that she can get. And I got to tell her, look, okay, this is probably going to be the best offer. This is a good buyer, whatever I know. Or let's say I know the buyer from somewhere else and I know what they offered on another house. They're not my client, but I know them. And they've tried to lowball Lily. And I say, Lily, they can pay a lot more than that. I wouldn't accept it. I'd counteroffer at a higher price, right? Because I know that. I have to disclose to Lily what I know about them, everything I know about them, right? She's my client. She hired me. So I have to take care of her first, all right? So disclosure is anything I know, right? If the offer is a first cousin of the broker, all right? If you're a family member, let's say I'm going to Lily and I found my cousin wants to buy her house. Good offer. It's fair. It's reasonable. I must tell Lily that they're a relationship to mine. Okay. I have to disclose that. Any type of relationship is just disclose it. All right. Don't even worry about the levels. If it's your third cousin twice removed, just say we're related along family ways, right? It's okay. You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. All right. Make sure. All right. So that's the old part, OLD. Confidentiality, the C in this car. I have to protect at all costs Lily's price, what she'll accept, the terms that she will accept, and her motivation for selling or buying. Price, terms, and motivation. Okay. I am required by law to protect price, terms, motivation. So I can't tell anybody that Lily is taking a quick sale because she doesn't get foreclosed on, to use our scenario, right? I can't tell her that would be motivation. Would that not be motivation also to sell quickly? So that's price and motivation. And I can't tell anybody, you know what? She might accept some owner financing too. That would be terms. Couldn't do any of that. I'm not allowed to do any of that. Confidentiality, I cannot say that. Now I can negotiate. If I get an offer with those things in there, I can go to Lily and say, all right, what looks good to you? Let's talk about this. And she can make the decision. Remember, I can't bind Lily. I'm not allowed. Lily has to make that decision. I can't sign for her. I can only sign for my agency. Right? So she has to make that decision. So confidentiality, price, terms, motivation. Remember those, PTM. All right? Price, terms, and motivation. That's confidentiality. All right? The A, big A in accounting is accounting. Am I supposed to account for any funds that I'm given on behalf of Lily? Yes, I am. What about documents? Am I supposed to hold those documents? Yes, I am. How long am I supposed to hold documents from the end of our transaction? Anybody remember? How many years? Hold up 3 fingers, Hunter. 3 years, right. Hunter got it right. All right, we're supposed to hold up 3 years. Everything, all the documents, everything. Anything that has to do with this transaction, we need to hold it for, if it's going to be audited, for 3 years from the end of the transaction. So in our case, when Lily closes on the house, we hold it, all right, for 3 years from the last date of that. If our deal falls through and she goes and gets another agent, I hold it for 3 years from when we're done. Okay, 3 years. Everything has to be held for 3 years. That's accountable. All right, that's accountable. Due diligence money, earnest money, things of that nature. On behalf of the principal. Okay, so that's accounting. Confidentiality, price, terms, and motivation. Accounting, I have to hold everything for 3 years. Reasonable skill and care. This should go without saying, but if I'm working with Lily, shouldn't I know what I'm doing? Or at least have access to somebody who can help me as a new agent, if I'm a new agent? I should be able to what? I should be able to market Lily's house, right? If somebody sends me a contract or an offer to purchase, I should be able to read it, right? I should be able to understand it. I should be able to price Lily's house fairly. Okay? All of those things. This is reasonable skill and care. I should know what the marketplace brings, right? Is it a hot marketplace? Is it a cold marketplace? Is the prices, are we selling slower or faster, right? You can, I mean, this is just an afternoon's work. It's not a lot, all right? But you should be able to do that. Now, understand this. If I have a buyer, right? If I have a buyer, I should know what the marketplace is, okay? Now, your broker's license, I think I told you this at the first night. I'm going to say it again. Your broker's license is good for residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural, special purpose, which are the 5. There are no more. Any typos. Those are the 5. And it's good for every single spot in the state of North Carolina. Now, let's say that I sold Lily's house and it was great, but Lily now wants to move to Charlotte. And I say, okay, Lily, let's go. Lily, where are you living now? Let's say Lily's living in Jacksonville. I don't know if you live in Jacksonville or not, Lily, wherever you are. Anyway, let's say Lily's living in Jacksonville. And we just sold that house. And Lily says, Sam, would you help me buy a new one? I said, sure, Lily, I'd love to help you. You've been great. So Lily says, all right, I need to find something in Charlotte. I said, all right, let's go out tomorrow and we'll go find a house in Charlotte. If this is reasonable skill and care. Does anybody have any idea what the hell I know about Charlotte real estate? I just sell houses in Jacksonville. I don't know anything about Charlotte real estate. I have no right taking Lily to Charlotte to help her out and do the best I can. What could I do? I'd pick up the phone and call my friend Ann, who's out there working, and say, Ann, would you do me a favor? I have a client who wants to come out to Charlotte. She's great. You'll have fun working with her. She's just sold her house. Would you do me a favor? Sell her a house, find her a nice house, and then send me a referral fee. We'll work something out. And Ann says, please send her by all means. And I did the best at that particular point. I took care of Lily by doing what? By sending her to somebody who knows what the heck they're doing, right? I would have no way for me to be able to help Lily in the best possible way. I wouldn't know if I'm getting a good deal. I don't do Charlotte real estate. Ann, who makes a great living out there doing Charlotte real estate, will do a great job. That's skill and care. So sometimes not doing something is better than doing something, right? Because somebody else can give them better care. Your job is to give them reasonable skill and care. So you know where if she wanted to, if Lily wanted to buy another place in Jacksonville, we could do that because I'm familiar with Jacksonville, right? But if she wanted to go somewhere else that was outside my sphere of knowledge, it wouldn't make any sense, right? It wouldn't make any sense for me to help her. I wouldn't be doing her fairly, right? It wouldn't be reasonable skill and care. So that's the 6th one. The 6th one is you have to take care of your client. You have to know what you're doing or at least ask for help. And if you have no business helping them in that situation, find someone who can. And you notice that I asked Ann for a referral fee. I'm going to send Lily's phone number and name to Ann, and Ann, if she makes any money on it, we're going to negotiate a 20 or 25 or 30% referral fee, where she's going to send me 20, 25, 30% of whatever she makes on the deal. It was a found sale for her, right? She got it, didn't have to pay for it. She took Lily out, she sold her a house, and then she sent me a slice for sending it to her, right? So I didn't have to do anything. That's the easiest money you'll ever make, right? The easiest money you ever make is sending a referral. You're not going to get all of it, but you'll get a part of it, right? And again, it depends on your company policy and what you work out and everything else. So, all right. Anybody have any questions? Those 6 are going to be the core of everything we talk about going forward. Old car, obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accounting, and reasonable skill and care. So let's talk again about confidentiality, because this is where we get in trouble. This is where we get in trouble. So I may not disclose my client's confidential information. I can't, okay? But if I know confidential information about somebody who is not my client, I am obligated to tell, let's say Tyler was my client at one time, but nothing ever came through. But Tyler gave me a bunch of information. Now Tyler wants to come and buy Lily's house. I am obligated to tell Lily everything I know about Tyler's price, terms, and motivation. Everything. Okay, I need to tell her that. So if he's not my client and she is, I need to tell my client all of that information. What price he's willing to pay, what terms he wants, what's his motivation for purchasing. Okay, I need to tell her. I'm obligated to tell her. Okay, she is the one who hired me. Right? I don't tell anybody else anything about Lily's stuff. That's her business. That's between her and me. I'm not giving her that. But if I know about anybody else's that is interested in that house, I'm going to tell her. I'm going to tell her. And that's going to come into play on Thursday night when we talk a little bit more about when we start talking about what we need to do as far as relationships go. All right. So again, price, terms, motivation, we cannot give those away. All right. We cannot give those away. Now, the broker's duty of confidentiality may be expected to continue as long as the agent has no duty to disclose to a new client. All right, Lily, we sold Lily's house, but Lily didn't ask me to be her buyer's agent. She just said, thanks, Sam, I appreciate all the hard work, but I'm going to take some time off and I'm going to think about it. So in the meantime, I pick up Callie's listing. And we have a nice listing and it's great. And she's my client and everything is working really good. And I get a phone call that says somebody wants to show the house. That's all good. And who do I see coming up the walk with her new agent? Lily. Guess what I have to do now? Now, and if I never saw this, never occurred to me or never happened, I would never tell Lily anything about any of her price, terms, or motivation. I wouldn't tell that to anybody. However, I have a new client, right, which is Callie. And Lily now is a customer because she didn't hire me. So guess what I'm telling Callie? Everything I know about Lily, because I'm obligated to tell my client everything I know about a customer. So if I never saw Lily again or we met in a different relationship, okay, as long as it wasn't real estate involved and she wasn't looking to buy my house, all right, what we said is between her and I, to the grave. I'm never going to talk about it, okay? Well, there are 4 instances, but we're not going to worry about that. But if she's coming and she's going to be the buyer to Callie's house, guess what I'm doing? I'm spilling my guts to Callie about everything I know. Okay, everything I know. So that's where that has to happen because I have a client level relationship with Callie now. Lily, when we closed, our relationship was over. Our relationship was done. So confidentiality would have carried on until I needed it for her because she's going to work against my client. All right, so what do we owe third parties? A customer. At this point, this is what I would owe Lily when I saw Lily coming up the walk when I was listening to Callie's house. I owe her fairness. I owe her honesty. I owe her disclosure of material facts, anything that's wrong, or, and we'll talk about material facts on Thursday when we come back. All right. And I have to have compliance with the licensing law and the rules. Okay. Now, what I have to be careful of is puffing. Puffing? What's puffing? I'm not talking about cigarette smoke here, folks. I am talking about what my explanations of the house. I can say, hey, this is the nicest house in the neighborhood. I can say you have probably one of the best views of the ocean if it's an oceanfront condo, as long as we can see the ocean, and I think it's that. Things that are immeasurable, my opinion. If something is measurable, if I say that this condo has the most square footage of any other condo in this building, I better be accurate. Because if not, that would be fraud. That would be misrepresentation. That would be a step above puffing. All right. Puffing is, we're trying to build it up a little bit, trying to make it exciting without getting into measurable detail. Okay. So we have to be very, very careful about puffing. It could go, some of us get a little excited and we put too much into it, and that's where we're going to end up with a problem. That's where we end up with a problem. All right, last thing tonight, and we'll start here Thursday. North Carolina is what's called a caveat emptor state. In Latin, caveat emptor means what? Let the buyer beware. Okay. Buyer beware, let the buyer beware, which means that the seller, in our case earlier, Lily, doesn't have to say anything about her house. She doesn't have to say a word. She doesn't have to give square footage. She don't have to say if anything's right or wrong. She can fill out a disclosure form, which we'll talk about later, and she can just check no representation. I'm not talking about it. She can do that. Me, as her agent, I don't have that luxury. If I know there are material facts about this property, and we'll talk about those material facts when we come back on Thursday specifically, I have to disclose those material facts. All right. But the owner, the seller, doesn't have to say a word. If she says something, it has to be accurate. We don't even have to measure the house. House size is not a material fact in North Carolina. However, if Lily says this house is 1,600 square feet, and I say it's 1,600 square feet, it has to be accurate, within 5% of the actual. That's the leeway they give you. Best is to say nothing and let the buyer figure it out. But if we say that there is 1,600 square feet, it's got to be plus or minus 5%.
If you like this video, feel free to share it with a friend. For more real estate education content, please subscribe to the channel. From all of us at Seacoast Real Estate Academy, thank you for watching.